Hi listeners, welcome to my channel. As we discussed in the last reading on 4th or 5th of November, Sun in Scorpio joined Moon in Scorpio at 12°40' of Scorpio, seeding a new seed which is truly different, truly unique, under the influence of opposition from Uranus, the planet of freedom, at 12°47' of Taurus. This new start will color the next 2 weeks, 2-3 months with its unique colors, when we would see events we have not observed in our lifetime. Next 3 months till Uranus goes direct on 18th of January and North Node enters Taurus on the very same day on 18th of January, we will continue to see the unfolding of the events that will initiate with this new moon. The South Node will not reach this degree till end of 2022. So it's very much possible that we would collectively see the events unfold till December 2022 of what's being announced right now. What's coming to focus, what's coming to light right now in name of truth, in name of epiphanies, in name of impulses and stormy changes or people walking into our life that will shift us forever. We will see the influence of those changes all the way till December of 2022. For example, if you have an epiphany during this transit, you may start working towards a totally different direction, but the final fated path that's to emerge from those changes might come in full form only by end of 2022. Fixed initiations which are done in Scorpio new moon, they don't change in intent, but the suddenness and the high emotional intensity of them would give way to practical execution, which will change things. We speak of the time after this new moon today. Today's reading will be in podcast format. Link to the transcript is in description. My name is Charu. I'm your host on this journey. Let's dig in. Sun's opposition to Uranus after and during this new moon, it brings a breakdown of anything that's fake in our life path. 101 encounters which will shift our perspective about our life path and future, unwillingness to put up with anything that's repressive, a force within us, making us break up or break out, radical change in professional outlook of life. That all is part of the Sun's opposition to Uranus that we are experiencing right now. Unexpected parts of us, they come out in surprising ways. Don't ignore them, because sanity and restraints, they will set in coming days. But this very madness or the unexpected part of us that's screaming out during this new moon and the period after, they are the true parts of you, which would and are screaming aloud. Make these next 14 days of peak influence of this new moon truly an epiphany period of your life, when your life's truths, they speak loudest to you. One thing which is so unsaid with Uranus transits is that they create a radical confidence in a part of our life where they transit. The Taurus and the Scorpio parts of our life, which normally have to do with value, how we create value in our life, our assets, how we create income, how we create trust in relationships. All of that is being evolved irrevocably. Uranus creates a radical confidence within ourselves, within the value that we place on ourselves, because of which anything and anyone who is of low frequency, when it comes to our value system, when it comes to our assets, when it comes to the people who we are in karmic relationships with, they will move away. The radical confidence is created because the fake lives are only lived in fear. And Uranus transit is all about freedom from all that is fake and all that is full of fear. It makes us resonate at a frequency where lower vibrations which have outlived our life, they will fall away. Allow those epiphanies and allow those higher vibrations to wash through you. What has outlived you would have to leave at this time. And there is a freedom that is felt like a release from it, like a release of a toxin from our life and our body. 9th and 10th of November, when Mercury will meet Mars, we would somehow feel that we need to defend our position after a period of high. Don't jump from impulse to defense, as reality will set in. We could jump from impulse to offense, but not that kind of offense. Though you'll see a lot of people jumping from impulse to offense because they'll feel that they need to defend their position. The healthy kind of offense is what we are going for. The healthy kind of offense is when you get an epiphany during this new moon and you get right to work on it and let the action speak for you instead of words. Ground the idea, but don't kill it. As we would get our Saturn square, which we discussed in your sign-specific readings on 10th of November, as we have discussed before. Stay inspired. Right after the new moon, the impulses that we are achieving, we'll have to put them into action and they will go through some amount of stress and reality checks. Mercury is meeting Venus in positive aspect on 6th of November. Acknowledge your aspiration to set free of whatever was keeping you down that you recognized with this new moon. 6th of November is like a time to acknowledge and accept that you deserve it and much more. Accept the epiphanies that are coming through, even put down in words if you need to. Mercury and Venus, they will be meeting at critical degrees where things are initiated and they'll be working together, creating a belief on the new ideas that we have got. It's the get to work time after that. Don't wait. We are in Mars and Scorpio energy till the end of the year. We don't have time to wait. We won't have Mars and Scorpio for the next 2 years. And Mars is very strong and strategic in Scorpio, which means that our actions are very, very effective. And our mind and our actions would be working together. It's great, great mental energy when a lot of strategic work and mental work can be done. There is no time to rest for the wicked, as they say. 10th of November is great for disciplined mental energy work. Put ideas to work at that time and do the heavy lifting. It may not be great to speak up because we might feel blocked in speech. It's time to make the actions do all the talking. If you hit any breaks on 10th of November, which we discussed in your sign-specific video, and you realize that there is an amount of inhibition or inner fear which is setting it, which is causing inaction, dig deeper and get surer on your ideas. Review your sign-specific hurdle that I've spoken of in detail in your short sign-specific videos. I'll leave the link again in the description. The changes which are being envisaged during this new moon, they would not come, in my view, with full announcement till 13th of November, during which it would change form. Changes that are envisaged by governments, bosses, cartels like the oil cartels, etc., they would come with sudden information or disclosure or announcements. As we are seeing right now, they will come more formally with announcements and clarifications, sudden announcements, sudden news coming in on 13th of November. And around 17th of November, we have the time to effectively act on them, but if they are any kind of controls that are curbing our freedom, you'll find people staunchly opposing any kind of restriction and control on 17th of November. This Scorpio new moon It brings both epiphanies as well as control. As you know, Scorpio stands for control and power. And anyone and everyone who wants to live in their full power, but they don't know how to use that power, their tendency will be to use this energy to control others. They would feel it's their birthright to control. Just remember one thing during this period, that we would have tendency to escape, because Uranus is freedom, but the shadow side of it is sometimes we don't take responsibility of our own actions. So just remember the intention of why you're initiating what you're initiating, and you hit any roadblocks just because your freedom is being controlled or curbed, or somebody's throwing a spanner in your plans. Don't use that as a reason to not go for it. Don't escape what you have promised yourself. Explosive release of energy can be seen around 17th of November through sudden anger, especially for fixed signs around 12 degrees. And it would be physically felt, and we need to be physically careful around 17th of November. Expect impatience. Expect ego conflicts. Proactively bring change in your life, in Scorpio part of your life, which is indicated in your sign-specific reading. Liberate yourself from what seemingly chains you. A radical new direction is opening for us with a radical confidence in it, and we have all the physical energy to pursue it. Act with freedom of the mind that this radical confidence offers us, and know that your self-determination will come with resistance, as you would awake the dormant parts in others by living your own honest truth. And to some people, there is nothing more scary than honesty in another's life. All inspiration is not positive. Some of it is disruptive. Some of it is pure envy. Scorpio new moon comes with new envy. And when South Node will come in Scorpio in 2022, we would have to collectively release a lot of self-sabotaging parts of us, such as envy, that hold us collectively back. Or learn to use those impulses as positive force. We would invite envy. If you're living it all as part of the Scorpio new moon, expect envy. I heard someone say on one of the videos long time ago, they were speaking of envy, and they were saying that if you want to truly defeat envy, speak to the person who you can feel the envy from. It's almost like envy becomes shy when you give it a word. So if you say to a person who's sending it your way, "Are you envious?" somehow it dissipates, its power dissipates. I don't know, I have not tried it, but something to try, I guess, if you experience this. Know that some unconscious part of you has brought you to this moment that you and me are living. Own all of it. It will free you. Take full responsibility of where you are right now. Acknowledge where a dysfunctional attachment to restrictive part of your life is not letting you go to that radical confidence and freedom you crave. Because the dysfunction always comes in attractive patterns and attractive forms and addictive forms. They're laced in sugar, aren't they? Whether it's in seemingly beautiful relationships, or money from a path which is not ours, or substance use which is literally glazed in sugar. There is an imbalance in exchange, where what you're giving and what you're receiving is not balanced, which is normally at the root of that dysfunction. See the pattern, connect the dots, connect the seemingly unconnected parts of your life, especially the dysfunctional parts, and see what you need to free yourself of. It's almost like this whole new moon is like the mother of all epiphanies. It's like the unconnected parts of our life coming together and showing us a big picture, especially a common thread that runs across a couple of dysfunctional episodes of our life. The truth that was always smiling in our face In each of those dysfunctions, they're magically somehow connected through the dots. And through this 𝗦𝗶𝗴, that is this new moon, you recognize that with a flash of light. I've said it before and I will say it again. It's misunderstood by people that Scorpio part of a chart is the brave part of a chart. It's not. It's where we have the least confidence. It's the part of our chart where we have the least confidence to make it. The lack of self-esteem is the root of all these dysfunctional dots you will connect. They're not born with this power. The Scorpios are not born with this power. They cultivate it. The Scorpio part of our charts, we cultivate the power in that part of our chart by multiple times going through death, rebirth, one after another. They do have, though, motivation. And we all have motivation in the Scorpio part of our chart to gather resources, to succeed at all costs, replace what we have lost, and replace what we have lost over and over and over and over again. They're feverish in their pursuit of this recovery post-loss. And over the course of next 2 weeks, we all live that feverish pursuit of recovery post-loss. We are all on that mission to be and have everything we believe we were meant to have. We all live under this powerful impulse, and we have been gifted this powerful life force that is deep beyond imagination. Embrace your ambition. And this is not the ambition of Capricornian kind of climbing a ladder. This is the ambition to get what's rightfully yours, but it was taken away because we were not being our powerful self. Due to the deep-seated complexes or abuse or karmic imbalances, or just by purely not having enough faith in our resources, we were just not taking rightfully what is ours. And transform it into whatever you want it to be. It's not about climbing any ladder. You are the ladder. It's about self-mastery. This supposed obsessive, ambitious, hungry, dark side of our nature, it has its space in our healing. Future is never going to look like the past. Especially once we go through the Scorpio South Node process of the next 2 years. So if you are in any ways mourning a seemingly rosy past when you seemingly had it all, know that your own mind is playing games with you. It's essentially keeping you in the past and blocking you from moving to a more honest and successful part of your life that will come through this massive transformation by going through a death rebirth process that this new moon promises. Uranian impulses, they're very easy to ignore because they are so destructive to the status quo, and our natural impulses, right, to save, the natural survival techniques to retain the status quo, which is the primitive part of our brain, it says, no, this is not good for me. This is bad for me. I need to resist the impulses of Uranian nature. But you see, the same part of our life which craves stability is the one that's throbbing for a rebirth. A Scorpio pretends. She sits in all the same places, eats the same food, drinks the coffee at the same place, sitting at the same seat, in her seemingly stagnant waters. But you see, she plants a submarine in those waters that run deep, hoping that the whole world around her would explode or the world within her would implode. So her entire status quo would be upended, and she can blame it on whosoever surprisingly planted that explosive right underneath her without her knowing it, when it was all along hers only. She plays games, you see. Even with her own self, especially with her own self, she plays games. Because nothing is more dramatic in the name of rebirth when a seemingly harmless woman, surprisingly dressed in red dress and with those deep eyes, is just sipping the same coffee she sips every day in her seemingly perfect life with the perfect castles and the cars and all the resources she has worked hard to amass. And suddenly, it's all upended and it's like she's covered in blood. Out of nowhere, a completely life-changing event has happened and now she has to somehow come out like a phoenix. She lies that she doesn't love the drama of the rebirth. She carries it too far. She carries the dysfunction too far till it all explodes, or rather, till she implodes. She is not bipolar. She just doesn't tell the whole truth, even to herself. Because it's vulnerability. It's vulnerability, you see. Anyone knowing her own techniques, her own ways, is a weakness. And we cannot have any of that in Scorpio. And then one fine day, she realizes with each drama after another, even though she's gaining more resistance to shocks of her life, but what she's creating is not real because the drama creates drama. And she was somewhere inside looking for something more real. So ultimately, she leaves those ways. Once the Scorpio energy in our charts, she matures. She leaves those ways and she uses the capability now she has mastered and harnessed of rebirth through these artificial make-believe rebirths to get one real one for once for all. The one that's self-initiated. And I believe this is one where she knows that she has the power to create whatever world she wants. She's as crude, as selfish, as self-centered as any human. As humans are supposed to be selfish to survive. She just wears it boldly. When she goes after this life, she knows she wants for herself and for the one she loves. And then at that point, people say, oh, Scorpios don't have self-esteem issues. They are like fire, like hell. And they have given me hell. Hell, yeah, they have. Because they have been through so much and you don't know where they have come from. Don't expect to be understood. Don't ask to be understood. Rather have compassion in the moment because it's beyond comprehension for most, the process, the life that have been lived. Don't go bitter because you would lose the ones who love you beyond comprehension and they are also part of karma for you. We get both, don't we? It's the balance of life. We get both kind of people. People who do things for us like it's their karmic duty and those we need to do things for as it's our karmic duty. And that's why Scorpio is a sign of reciprocity. Shocker, isn't it? That statement is a shocker, but it's true. It's shocker for most people. It's the symbol of debt we owe to each other. In Scorpio starts, we learn to share. And the award for the most misunderstood sign goes to, you got it, Scorpio. But we learn to share. We learn to share as part of Scorpio starts. But we learn to share knowing the value of what we are giving and what we are losing when we exchange ourselves with another. Knowing what sharing would cost us as well as how it would benefit us is how we learn to share in Scorpio. It's a calculated sharing. Doesn't mean it's cunning, it's calculated. Calculated means you're not doing it without the knowledge of it. Whenever the balance tips, you know you're going to the darker side of it all. Whenever in the sharing you start to compromise your intensity for acceptance, know that you're going to the darker side of that balance. Don't worry, we don't have to master all of Scorpio energy in the next 2 weeks. We would have multiple eclipses over next 2 years to learn this and bring back these karmic balances into balance. The thing is, learning to share has so much less to do with the another person. It's essentially where we are pretty much forced to have more trust on our own ability to create more whenever we need more. Because that's the point where we learn, when we know, yeah, I can create more whenever I need more. That's the only point when we are able to share freely with another. Ultimately, the others in our life whom we try to learn to coexist with or share with or even help out and heal, they're essentially teaching us our own lessons and placing enough value on our own resources. That's the role of the others in our life. That's the reason we are learning to share. Because only once we have placed enough value on our own resources, only then we can become the holder of vast amount of resources. And that's the great potential this initiation holds. The pot of gold, and I'm not talking about metaphorical gold, I'm talking about actual resources. The pot of gold that lays underneath all that muck we have to dig through. This new moon and its initiations, done right from a place of valuing oneself, it places the person in the center of vast resources beyond one's fated by birth or historic potential. The controller of material resources, the one who holds the power over external resources as he or she has learned, or holds the power over their own inner resources effectively. Because you cannot control the external resources if you cannot control your own resources. If you cannot control your own mind, your own ego, your own inner impulses, your own inner resources, your body, your mind, your ego, your intensity, you cannot be the controller of external resources. It's the archetype of richly priced commodities after all. The liquid gold, not just the metaphorical one. But any of this is not going to come without changing our own value system, our self-worth, our sources of income, our ego shifts, our shifts in expression of our ego, the unplugging of the Scorpio that Uranus and Taurus is trying to bring with this new moon. This is the part 1 of the reading, where I've covered the Scorpio new moon after influence. I'll cover the December 2021 and how this new moon is a common thread running all the way till January, February of 2022 in the part 2 of this video, so we don't make a very extremely long video. I'll see you in the part 2 now.